What's up, everybody? That time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
That time of the new month.
That time of the new month. You're listening to The Good,
The Band,
The Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm Jeff.
And we have a wonderful show for you today.
Yes, we do.
Coming to you live from the Ultimate Ears studio. Did I mention Ultimate Ears?
You did.
I will mention Ultimate Ears.
Again.
A couple thousand times.
Yeah.
Ooh, that music came out quick. It was like gone. How are you, Jeffrey?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah? Good week?
Yeah.
Yeah? How was your weekend?
Yeah. Well, at the time we're recording this, Easter was yesterday.
Yes. Easter was. Happy
belated,
Easter.
Whatever.
For those of you who celebrate Easter, happy Easter.
Yeah.
Did you get anything in your basket?
That's a loaded question.
Dude,
Anyway.
They had, place I was at had adult Easter, and they put little shot bottles.
Oh, cool.
All over the bar, and everybody's going, "The fuck is this thing?" There's shots that no one would drink, like peanut butter whiskey. And all that. I was like, "Yeah, you can keep them."
Yep.
So, anyways, that was the extent of my thing. And then my daughter had a great. She just did a great job. She doesn't really listen to the show anyways because she's my daughter, but she did a great job hosting Easter.
Mine do.
And whatever. And I found out that we got a letter from someone from the show. Mm-hmm. He listens to the show every week, but he goes, in the letter it says, "Just to let you know, I listen to you guys every night just as I fall asleep." And I'm like, "Are we putting you to sleep?" Or he says, "No." He goes, I listen to your show and I let it keep playing. And he says, "But the other morning I woke up to the sound of your voice saying it's that time of the month."
Oh.
He says, "And I don't know how I feel about that. But thanks for putting me to sleep at night." I'm like, I don't know if that's
good or bad.
So hopefully this episode will not put you to sleep.
So we cure insomnia.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. That's better than the band that we had.
I know.
Used to put people to sleep there. We've got a great show for you today. This artist has played with some of the greatest people around.
Yeah.
He is now currently touring with just a phenomenal band from the 80s. Mm-hmm. We're not going to give it all away.
No.
But
but when you see him come on,
yeah,
love the shirt. He's representing.
You're just a weirdo.
I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the Ultimate Ears studio with us today, Mr. Tyson Leslie.
Yay, here I am.
There it is.
Hey.
In all my glory, no legs, the whole thing.
No, you're floating. It's like I've got my Oculus on.
Right? Totally. I didn't want you guys to see all the trash in my room right now. I'm redoing my whole studio, and there's literally just garbage everywhere. It's disgusting.
That's all right.
Listen, we've seen McDonald's and Burger King wrappers before.
Right.
You making fun of my car?
Yes.
Yeah, even my daughter gets in the car every now and then and says, "How do you live like this?" I'm like, "I don't live in here. I drive this. I'm always on the road."
Right.
So nobody gets it. When you have a busy life, the stuff that's not fun takes a back seat. Laundry day is nothing that any of us likes to do. So.
No.
So, dude, you've been busy as hell.
Indeed.
Busy as hell. We got like 7 cruises booked this year.
Just about. Yeah, I think 7. Right. There may be more. I'm just kind of waiting to find out. I just did 5 or 4. I did 4 of 4 in March, and then I'm home for 6 days, and I head back out to Miami on Thursday and do my last one for the spring. And then at that point, I don't cruise again until October, because typically the charter cruises, which is all the stuff that I do, those happen in the spring and the fall, because they don't really need to, summertime people are cruising anyway. So
yeah, right.
They just kind of have regular, boring, no themed cruises for, the old people that like to do the thing and stuff. And then they do all the charter cruises in the spring and in the fall months when they're not as busy, and that keeps things in rotation in terms of keeping the boat full during times that are not typically busy. And I actually didn't know that until this last cruise. I just asked them. I was like, "Hey, how come you guys don't do them in the summer?" And then once they explained it to me, I was like, "Oh, duh. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense."
we don't need to put asses in the seats. They're already there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, who are you cruising with?
Well, it's all kinds of different things. So we started off with the Monsters of Rock cruise, and the Monsters of Rock cruise is it's all the big, not the big, but the more like your B, C, and lower. If you want to be, I try to say that without being insulting to some of these bands because they're all really extraordinary in so many ways, but they were never the Motley Crues or this. Or the Def Leppards of the world, Whitesnake, or one of those. They were kind of more like Slaughter, Great White, Skid Row, Cinderella, the ones that were kind of, and then they go really deep though with, and I've wanted to go on that cruise since it first came out because that stuff was really my wheelhouse. Sitting around, it's essentially a cruise for anybody who sat around watching Headbangers Ball on MTV every Saturday night.
Right.
Deep cut bands like to me. Dangerous Toys is not a deep cut band, but for most people it is. Dangerous Toys or Britney Fox and things of that nature that aren't typically. You're not going to hear people playing their songs in a bar, and things like that,
right?
Because they're too far removed and underground, and maybe a lot of them only had one or two hits at all, and even those hits were kind of, at least at the time, fairly, a splash in the scene for a minute, and then they just kind of disappeared. Mm-hmm. And so that was the first one, and then followed directly by the prog rock cruise, which is called Cruise to the Edge, and that was initially the Yes cruise, and then now that Yes isn't as active as a full band anymore. You get guys like Steve Hackett from Genesis, and you've got guys like Mike Portnoy and his multiple projects. Like this year was Flying Colors. Last year was a band called Transatlantic.
Yep.
And then you get just a lot of notes, a lot of time changes. Adrian Ballou, guys like that are there. There's a group called the Stickmen that features Tony Levin and his. For those who know who he is. Mm-hmm. And so it's that kind of stuff, which is Jordan Rudess was there playing a solo set. And ended his first set bringing Mike Portnoy back up. It was the first time I'd seen him and Mike play together since they broke up. So that was a really exciting moment to see, on a cruise ship, playing a Dream Theater song together.
Right,
that was really, really cool.
Now, were you there? Were you there with Vixen, or were you there?
No, I was not. Vixen had to pull off of the Monsters cruise because Roxy's got a 99-year-old mother that she has to take care of and just can't be gone for that long of a period of time right now. Mm-hmm. So basically Vixen is kind of doing the weekend warrior thing at the moment too. But we're very light calendar wise this year. I won't even see those girls until June. Wow. I was there doing on Monsters. I did 13 shows. So I played with Faster Pussycat. I played with, and each band does 2 shows. So Pussycat did 2 shows. Enough's Enough. I played with them. I did 2 of the Dueling Pianos shows with my friend Will Dowdy, who plays for Poison. Mm-hmm. And then I also did stand-up comedy for the first time, and I played with a guy named Ted Poley from the band Danger. Mm-hmm. And so, I kept myself really busy on that one. That one was really... And then Cruise to the Edge was just Dueling Pianos. That's all I did on that one. And then after that, I went home for a week and then went back out with a different cruise line, a different company called Sixth Man that I've worked with for many, many years now, who charters all kinds of different things like the 311 cruise and Creed that's coming up, and the Headbangers boat of Lamb of God and that they did last year. They did that for the first time. Well, they also do a lot of other things that are not entirely music related. So I did this lady, a comedian named Chelsea Lynn, who has a show on, I guess, TikTok or something like that called Trailer Trash Tammy's something or other. And that was her whole shtick, So she had a whole cruise to herself and a whole bunch of drunk women that, like to show their boobs. And it was, it was interesting. It was kind of weird. And I didn't really know a lot of people. I brought my friend Jennifer from Colorado to play dueling show with me. And then immediately after that, I literally got off the boat and then got right back on that same boat the same day to do one called Chefs Making Waves. And that was all like celebrity chefs from the Food Network. And
so like your Bobby Flays and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly didn't even know. I didn't even know who any of those guys were, to be honest, because I don't watch TV. Like, I've hardly ever. I'm never home. I'm playing gigs, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know who they were, really. And it was kind of interesting to get to know some of them and watch what they do and hear their stories and stuff like that. But this one was also unique because I brought my kids, and that was the first time I've ever brought them on a cruise, so that was fun. And my daughter got up, my 4-year-old got up and shared the stage with me for the first time ever, and she did a Part of Your World, the song from Little Mermaid.
Yep.
Because we were sitting at dinner and she was just singing it, and I was like, how does she knows the words to like this whole song? This is crazy. So I was like, hey, do you want to do? You know, we were just like, do you want to sing this with Daddy tonight? And she said, yeah. I was like, okay, fully expecting that she was going to chicken out, but no, she got up there and sang it, and she did a really good job. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's
awesome. I want to say this because, I have a daughter. My daughter's now 26. She'll be 27 in a couple weeks. Jeff has nothing but daughters.
Yeah.
Anytime your kids can get involved in any way with you, or my God, even just me bringing my daughter to Disney for the first time and just seeing the look on her face and everything, watching that video of the two of you, that will be probably one of your highlights for life.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's documented.
I've watched the video so many times because it's just so. It's actually kind of baffling to me how her pitch is so good at that age. It's like, how are you? I don't know how you figured out how to pull this off.
I think I might have even commented on it, but it was spectacular. And if you can, because we do post-production editing on this show, shoot that over if it's the video? It's only like a minute and a half long.
It to you
later. and then we're gonna splice it in, and then we're gonna right here.
Yeah. Show a little of it,
And there you go.
Yeah.
So we're going to splice it in. I want to put that in there so everybody, and by now that we're talking, it's already played, and you can see exactly what we meant.
Mm-hmm.
It's adorable. She did a great job, and I mean, that would be if I was you, and you could just see the look on your face when you were doing it, and you were like, she's
proud.
like, no, you don't need to coax me. I got this.
Yeah,
I was like, this is awesome. So that's cool that you brought your kids on that.
So I'm home for a few days, and then the next one is more like late 60s, early 70s, like kind of, it's almost not yacht rock, but there's a lot of it like that. But then there's artists like the Zombies and Alan Parsons, Starship and Little River Band, and last year it was like Ambrosia and a lot of really cool stuff. This year the Nelson Brothers will be on there doing their dad's music. Glenn Hughes is on doing the music of Deep Purple, of his era of Deep Purple, and a lot of stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to it.
We just showed our age, didn't we?
We did, but
Deep Purple,
care,
fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Tyson, you said that you did stand-up. How'd that go for you?
Oh, yeah, I guess, I did do that. It went really well, actually. It was interesting to try to... I've never thought of myself as all that funny, to be honest. I mean, I'm goofy with my kids and stuff, but, like, when I got the opportunity, or basically when I saw other people doing it, friends of mine, I just approached the organizers. I said, I want to try this sometime just to see what happens. And so the way it works is I send in all I write a bunch of jokes. I write my stuff. They write, and I send it to them. They kind of draw next to the stuff that they don't think would work, or that's like maybe not relevant to what the show is going to be, and then they send a bunch of their own ideas. I keep the ones that I like, and then we kind of put them in an order that makes sense to make a flow out of the show, edit everything down, and then I deliver it. And that's the tricky part. A lot of my humor and my shows and stuff is usually off the cuff, especially at the dueling piano shows. It's very, very just spontaneous.
Working the crowd. Yeah.
Yeah, so to do something that's scripted, but try to come across like you're not scripted is tricky. It's interesting because you have to deliver it in a way like you're not reading it off a page, but you're still kind of having to read some stuff off a page. Because I honestly didn't have hours and hours and days to work everything up to memorize everything. So I just kind of wrote everything in really big print so I could see it on a music stand, so I knew where to go, and tried to deliver it as best I could. But I mean, got a really good reaction for the audience. But the coaches, which are, I don't know if your listeners are familiar with that metal show, but it's Don Florentine.
Jim Florentine.
Jim Florentine
And Don.
and Don from that metal show, and then a lady named Courtney Cronin-Dold, who's she's a writer. She's written for a lot of TV and stuff like that, but she's also a stand-up comedian herself. She's kind of in charge of all of it, and so Don, Jameson, and Courtney coached me through everything, and then that's how I delivered the show.
Now, I think what would only be fair is if you could get a couple comedians who didn't know how to sing to get up and sing a song and say, okay, now you can see what it's like for us.
So, I have a show called I don't know if you know, but I have a show called Rare Hair that I put on in Nashville 2 or 3 times a year, and then we also do it on the Monsters of Rock cruise. Well, years ago, I saw Don Jameson playing guitar, and I was like, dude, you're going to get up and play guitar on this show. So we brought him up, and he played Dirty Deeds this year, and it was great. So a lot of people don't know he can play. I still have a goal that I'm going to find a song that's a simple enough bass line. I'm going to get Eddie Trunk on the bass one of these days.
There you go.
One of my goals.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, because you've been working with Eddie for. You did the last
for a few years.
40th
we became
anniversary.
friends on the last cruise to the Edge. I mean, we've kind of known each other in passing, but on that cruise to the Edge 2 years ago, neither one of us really knew a lot of people. So it's just me and Trunk and Portnoy hanging out all week, and we actually became friends during that time. And so when I'd go to LA or Vegas and we were mutually in the same place, we would always get coffee or go hang. And I mean, we're both gigantic music nerds who can talk about virtually anything and not have the other person go, who?
Right. Yeah,
so
exactly.
Right.
That's always a nice thing when you can find somebody that can relate to you with that kind of stuff.
Oh,
That's
I can absolutely relate because I can't have a conversation with him about some of the people. I said some.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's true.
I work with in Nashville. Most of the people that I work with are under 30. I played a gig.
Okay.
I don't know, a couple months ago, and we did "Still of the Night" by Whitesnake, and the singer's like, "What was that song? I love that song. I've never heard that song." I'm like, "God damn it! Get the fuck off my stage."
Yeah, right.
Just get out. No kidding.
And it's. I mean, and it's nobody's. It's not their fault. It is an age thing. It's he or she are there. When these songs came out, they were literally negative, like 15 years old.
Right.
20 years old. Like, and so the interesting thing about doing the cover thing, which is what I do when I'm home in Nashville, and working with people like that, is realizing and being patient about the fact that we're, all in our 40s, 50s, sometimes even 60s. We grew up with all this stuff. We listened to it on the radio. We had MTV. We had everything. We had all these, all this music kind of permeating our brains for decades.
Mm-hmm.
These people have to learn all these songs from scratch. So it's as though it's like you said, you guys are musicians. So it's like all of us having to go through and learn all of this material that's from 2000 to now.
Right.
That's like that, because I'm pretty sure that you guys, I could be wrong, but I mean, it's unlikely that you guys were sitting around listening to Kesha and Katy Perry and all of these artists that have come out in the last, whatever. And so you would literally have to learn all this stuff from nothing. And that's what all these people are doing in their 30s, learning and living on a prayer and don't stop believing and Sweet Child of Mine, all the overplayed songs that exist in the world.
Right.
To us, they're tired and old, and I played them to death, and I really don't ever want to play any of them.
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you.
For them, it's new. For them, this is fresh material, which is an interesting perspective to have to kind of wrap your brain around a little bit.
Some people have said you are one of the hardest working guys in Nashville. And I have to say, you're working 6 days a week.
Yeah.
You know, when you're not on the road touring and everything, and people don't know that when you do this for a living, this is what you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I try to explain to people is like, as much as I like my job, I'm not doing it because I love playing Jesse's Girl of Drunk People 6 nights a week. It's completely out of necessity. I have to come up with X amount of dollars every month to pay the bills.
Right.
And that means that I've got to play X amount of gigs per month in order to make that happen. And so, and unfortunately, that dollar amount is, fairly high at this point, because I've got 4 children, I've got 2 ex-wives, I've got, and then all the typical bills and a mountain of debt that I've accrued since COVID. Right before COVID, I got my debt down to $3,000, and then that happened, and it went right back up.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's not because, I want to be the hardest working guy in Nashville. It's really just, if I had a touring gig, maybe that was a higher paying gig, then I could come down and play less. I could play 2 or 3 days a week just for fun because I want to. Because I think I would, even if I had, I'd be like those guys in Taylor Swift's band. Those some of my friends that play in her band, I mean, are the most successfully paid sidemen in music, period. And they still come down and play Broadway a couple of nights a week because
That's cool.
It's just what we do. It's because, it's part of our thing.
It's your DNA.
Yeah.
It really is.
And I think what proves that you do have it in your DNA, and you may not love the certain aspect, but there's no way to take that out of you. That's who you are. Right. Jeff and I started this podcast, and we've said it on the show a number of times. When COVID hit, we had a great stride, playing the gigs that we played, booking what we did as far in advance. And man, it's like the whole world fell apart. And is this my solo gig? My only, no, I have my day job. But,
exactly. Yeah.
But then when we lost 60 shows that year plus, in a matter of a second, it was like, holy shit. I mean, that plays. So all of a sudden we're like, now what? I don't want to stop doing something creative. I have to do something related to entertainment or music. And it built the building blocks to what became this podcast, because we didn't want to give up talking about it, living it somehow. Yeah. And
for sure.
Same thing. I
That's
mean, it's
why I went to streaming. I was streaming 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
Online all across the world on Twitch. And that was cool because I got to meet people literally from Australia and Japan and other places of the world because somehow they got turned on to my show. And then anybody that tipped me $20 or more, I sent them a copy of my CD that I put out in 2013. And as a result, I played more original music that year than I ever have my whole life because people started requesting my songs, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then, and that kept me also kept my chops up as a musician, kept my voice in good shape, and I made good money. I mean, I made $2,000 less than I had made the year prior playing out in the real world.
Oof, that's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, it was great.
Which probably netted you a whole different when you didn't have driving or
$4.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like you didn't have to spend money for gas.
No,
you didn't have to.
You weren't, using your own gas money to go places.
Wear and tear or any of that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned putting out your album. I noticed in 2022 you released a single, "Burning Time," which was a little heavier.
Yeah.
And it mentioned some pretty big people on that. Who played with you on that?
Well, I wrote that song initially. I got a call from Vixen's manager saying, "Hey, I want you to write some stuff for Vixen." And Roxy, the drummer in Vixen, had mentioned she would like to have a new song that was something to replace our song "Rev It Up," which is our show opener. She wanted something upbeat and fast. So okay, so I wrote that song for Vixen initially, and in my mind, it was like the riff was very much "There's Only One Way to Rock," Sammy Hagar. That was
Yeah.
that's the way I looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
But our bass player Cher thought it was too heavy. It sounded way more. She thought it was too Judas Priest, and but Roxy loved it. She's like, let's do something with it. It doesn't have to be for Vixen. I was like, okay, well, let's think about it. And I was struggling with writing any vocal melody because all I had in my head was there's only one way to rock. I couldn't come up with anything else. So I sent it to Mark Slaughter and said, hey, can you come up with anything that's not fucking Sammy Hagar, because I can't get my head around it. And he did. He wrote a vocal line, but he didn't write any lyrics or anything, and he sent it with the vocal line being played on guitar. And even that wasn't really what I still was struggling with it. So I was doing a gig playing this Queen tribute show. This was during COVID. I don't remember where it was. It was somewhere in like Pennsylvania or something. And I remember calling Roxy and said, what do you think about like Todd LaTorre from Queensryche?
Yes.
Maybe writing on this song or working on or singing on this song. She's like, yeah, give him a call. So I did. And he was all about it, but it took him a year, literally almost exactly a year to get that done because he was working on his record and Queensryche stuff. Like there's so many things going on. And so he ended up writing the vocal melody and the lyrics and all the vocals for it, which turned out way better than what I had come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I needed lead guitar. So my buddy Jimmy Bell plays for a band called Autograph. And,
Yeah. Yep.
And he also plays for a band called House of Lords.
Yep.
And he's an extraordinary player. And so he came in and cut the leads on it. And again, like far surpassed anything I could do. Like I'm like, how the hell am I gonna play this live? I can't play that solo. It's ridiculous. And then the last piece of the puzzle was Billy Sheehan.
Right.
And I mean, he's my favorite bass player of all time, and we'd become friends because he lives here now. So he'd done a couple Rare Hair shows here in town and whatever. And so I had just called him up one day and said, "Hey, man, I got a song. I think it'd be really cool to have you." And he said, "Yep, just go ahead and send it." So I did, and he had it done in 2 days, and we sent it to the engineer and mixed it, and that's how it came out. It came out great.
That's awesome.
I made a whole $36 on it from ASCAP that December.
Oh, jeez.
From streaming numbers and stuff like that. But it was more a passion project more than anything else. So right now I'm in the middle of kind of working on some other things like that with some other folks, trying to figure out who's going to fit on what songs. And I feel like that's a really fun way to write and put out music because you're not only collaborating with people that are kind of your peers and in some cases your heroes, but also they're always going to come up with something that you will never come up with. And that's the beauty of it. It's like, holy crap, that's so much better than what I had come up with. I did a song a couple of years prior to that called Cradle to the Grave. It was a song that I did. The first thing I did when I moved here to Nashville. And I sent the drummer it was literally just a drum machine playing a thing over and over and over. And what he sent back was like, man, holy crap, it was so much better than like anything I'd imagined. I'm like, okay, I would have never have thought of that as the intro. Like, he just came up with something so cool. It just made the song 10 times better than it already was.
Right. Bart, well, you have to get Portnoy on there. That's all.
Yeah.
Because he's not too busy.
He just.
Yeah, oddly enough, my buddy Rich Redmond, we did a podcast together, and he was like, "Man, can you help me get Portnoy?" And they're kind of on, because of all the things going on right now in Dream Theater, they're kind of on a no press, like
Correct.
None of that stuff. So,
Yep.
I think once the record comes out and all that stuff, then the floodgates will open and they'll start doing press again.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing. I mean, we've always said, I've always said,
Yeah.
in fact,
yeah.
Mike Portnoy would be. I mean, I was out in Nam and saw him at the Metal Legion show, and I was just like,
oh, nice, yeah,
man, this is just luckily a friend of mine, they were one of the bands that opened for them, and it was just a great show. House of Blues, what a great venue.
Oh yeah, I love that place.
And
Sure.
but it was just such a great show, and to watch Mike, it's different than watching him on YouTube or watching, watching videos of
especially
Dream Theater.
playing that kind of stuff. It's that's a different wheelhouse for him too.
It is.
But he's just so good at it, and he's effortless, and and he's just a seems like a really good guy. And
he is, man. Like I think I've heard mixed reviews on him as far as how he's treated people over the years. But the one thing that's consistent is that since he stopped drinking, he's been nothing but pleasant and awesome to work with and be around and stuff. And I remember the very first week or the first couple of days of that cruise and him being around. And I mean, you have to understand on the prog rock cruise, he's kind of the darling on the cruise. Like he's the dude,
Yeah.
And so, and I remember just feeling a little intimidated because of that same stuff that you were talking about. But like, he couldn't have been more pleasant and awesome, and we've become legitimate friends. Like he was on the last one, and it was really just good to see him. When he came through with Winery Dogs, went and hung out with him after the show and things like that. So, and that's a pretty big deal for me because that band changed a lot of things for me in terms of how I looked at music and how I like, especially keyboard players. It changed the way, you could do that with a keyboard? That's cool. Okay,
right.
Yeah, let's do that. So, it changed a lot for me. I wore the first 3 albums, Dream of Day and Night, Images and Words, and
Awake.
Awake, just, man, I wore that stuff out.
Yeah.
Like, because it took that whole Rush thing to a whole different level.
Yeah,
it did.
Those guys were still, I think that what sets them apart, at least at the time, that really set them apart, and it's kind of honestly what I've missed about them lately,
yes,
is that they wrote these beautiful, catchy songs that just happen to be extraordinarily complex. It's just like, I always explain Slipknot is a band that I explain to people, like, they're so successful because they've written these incredible pop songs.
Yeah.
They just are really, really heavy pop songs, but they're really catchy. The choruses, they grab onto them, the riffs, everything. There's a reason why these bands are as successful as they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping with Mike back in the fold with Dream Theater, we'll get that kind of sense of, he was so hands-on with writing.
Well, you could see Rush's influences on things that Mike does. I mean, Neil Peart was like one of the people that he could emulate. Mm-hmm. And when he goes and does that the show for everybody who wants to go and play a Rush song, damn it just slipped my mind. Kathy
did it?
Yeah, they put it together. Is it Bonzo?
Yeah, well, the Bonzo Bash.
Bonzo Bash, yeah.
That's Brian Tichy. He does that every year.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got all that great drumming in that you're just like, wow. And watching these guys get up there and play that is like, holy shit, that's awesome. So, tell us the people you've worked with. Again, Jeff and I, this could take a long list, but I mean, you're doing
that list is kind of ridiculous at this point.
Some of the bigger
ridiculous to me.
Yeah. So you're doing stuff with Vixen, and who else are you being called out with? Because I know one you just did.
Yeah. I mean, I think the ones that, as far as things that just like you had mentioned before we went on, things that kind of make you go, wait, how the hell did I get here? Kind of moments.
Yeah.
The Eddie Trunk, 40th anniversary show that we did in Vegas was absolutely at the top of that list. So,
yeah.
I mean, Alice Cooper, I've seen live more than any other artist ever. Anytime he'd come through, I would go to the shows I'm taking notes. I'm going to school. I'm learning how to put on a show and stuff like that. So when I found out about Trunk's show, I didn't know it was going to be like that. I knew it was going to be a lot of big players and stuff like that. When I found out that show was happening, I hit up Eddie and I said, hey, who's MD, who's music director of the show? He said, Mike Portnoy and Brett Woods. Okay, so I hit both of those guys up. I said, hey, I'm coming to this thing. I don't give a shit if I got to play a triangle or kazoo. Put me in there somewhere. Like, I'd love to be part of it. And they were like, okay. So, and then I didn't hear anything. And about 2 weeks before the show, Brent sent me a list. Here's your songs. There's like 3 songs by Alice Cooper, a couple songs by REO Speedwagon, and a whole bunch of, folks like that. But then when I got the actual list of people that were going to be there, I'm like, oh, holy crap. So I'm actually playing with these people? Like, okay.
Yeah.
So that was pretty intense. Like, so I got to play Schools Out and Under My Wheels, with Alice. Like, that was really, really cool.
That is.
And, I've become friends with most of Alice's band. I know, but except for Alice. He was the only guy I didn't know, really. And so that was really, really, hanging with Sammy Hagar and playing Pound Cake with him during soundcheck was pretty cool. Because he's, like, looking around. He's like, hey, where's Mike? And Michael Anthony. And they're like, well, he's not here yet. He's not going to be here for a couple hours. He looked around. He's like, who knows Pound Cake? And I'm like, oh, dude, I played in a cover band for 6 years. So, well, come on, grab a bass and let's go. So I was like, okay. So I did.
That's awesome.
So that was that was awesome. And so there's stuff like that. Obviously, I mentioned Billy Sheehan, and one of my earlier moments of that type of stuff was when I played with Paul Gilbert for some of his guitar clinics. He's my favorite guitar player. So I played with my favorite guitar player, favorite bass player, who happened to both be in the same band together
Right.
sometimes. So that was cool. And my first big gig early on, before I moved to Nashville and got involved in all this stuff, was with Corey Taylor from Slipknot doing solo stuff. This was predated before the CMFT stuff that he's put out recently, but a lot of the material that is on those 2 records were the songs that we were playing back in 2008, 9, whenever that was. They just, at the time, they weren't ready for him to go solo, and so that's kind of the short version of why that band kind of disappeared. It disbanded because they were like, get back to Stone Sour, get back to Slipknot, the things that are making you money. He's writing his first book. It just wasn't the right timing for him to do that yet. And so when he finally put some of that stuff out, it was interesting to hear how they changed over the years, over the 10 years, since we started kind of messing around with those songs.
Plans to do anything else with some of those players again?
There's talk of me possibly doing some more shows with Bret Michaels. I just played with him also. I was just filling in for their keyboard player Rob, because they had a rescheduled date and he couldn't make that rescheduled date.
Right.
He had a family obligation, so I went in and played with him, and so there's a little bit of talks of that, but I mean, it's hard to say at this point whether that's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
As far as all the others, no, not really. But I mean, I just kind of take things as they come. And, and I've been very, very fortunate that my phone still rings for stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Well, there's been people on the show that like Norm Voss,
Love Norm.
from Bret Michaels,
Dorman Norman.
and we talked, and I texted him and I said, hey, I see Tyson, you guys are all, he's like, yeah. He goes, man, that guy can play. I was like, yeah. And I said, yeah, but he's another guy, so humble.
Oh, man.
Yeah, super sweet.
And so thankful for the gig that he's got. And it's like, you want to do anything you can for him.
For him, absolutely.
Just the way he
that whole camp in Bret Michaels, all those people in that band are super sweet people, really, really good. And Bret is too. They're all really nice.
Well, it's like Norm said. He goes, if Eric hadn't, stepped aside because he thought he had, a sickness, he wouldn't have that gig.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
That's Eric Brittingham.
Yeah, Eric Brittingham.
That gig beforehand, and he left right around. All the COVID stuff was still really, really heavy at the time, and he was very cautious about that stuff, and he's kind of disappeared a little bit. He's kind of resurfaces here and there with different projects, and he's still God, that guy, man. He's talking about a great player that is underrated in terms of what his capabilities. I've seen that guy learn 40 plus songs in 2 days, and no charts, nothing. He just gets up there and nails it. I'm like, dude, yikes. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty good about that stuff, but not like that. Like,
right.
I can't. It's just, I don't know. And he's got kids, too. I don't know how he found the time to really just, like, commit that stuff to memory in such a short amount of time. But I've seen him do it, and he's incredible.
Norm's not giving him his bass back.
No.
Norm says, he goes, I got his bass. He's like, he's like, I'm playing. He goes, I didn't even own a bass when I got this gig. I was a guitar player, and here I'm playing with his bass going, oh, my God.
How funny.
And he doesn't even adjust the strap because it's screwed into the body.
Yeah, into his body.
You know, not your traditional strap locks. Because we said to him, I go, throw it over your shoulder. You know, do the move.
Do the move.
He's like, no.
Yeah. Right.
He goes, the first time I do that, I'll probably knock myself out.
Eric's got a thing, man. Those dudes been doing it since day one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's got a way to do it, and he showed me how to do it one day, and it still freaks me out.
Well, I
tried it once, and I damn near knocked myself out. So,
and keep in mind, and I
did it wrong. Apparently,
I said this when we were interviewing Norman. Back in those days, nobody had wireless.
No.
So you had to step over
your
cord and know what was going to happen and have it set up ahead of time. And then they started getting wireless, right, like real close to that.
Mm-hmm.
And but in the beginning, you were throwing that shit with a corded guitar.
Hell yeah!
And I got the wrong end of it when I walked behind my guitar player at one point and took the guitar right in the chin, and down goes Frazier. Yeah,
I've never tried it. I'm too scared to do it. I won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to just once to see if I could, and well.
I mean, if I had a shitty guitar player or a guitar that I didn't care about, but
right?
All the guitars, I don't want to fly them across the room and break the neck or do something stupid.
Right.
Always make sure you got strap locks. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, and a hard hat.
And a hard hat. Yeah.
It's just bang. So.
What am I, in the Village People?
Whoa, you know. So you've got all these gigs. You're doing dueling pianos. Do you ever, while you're down in Nashville and people are coming in, go, wait a minute, didn't I just see you on this cruise, or did I see you playing with Vixen or whatever? I mean,
yeah, that happens a lot actually. Or somebody will come up and they're just kind of looking at me funny, and it takes them a minute to figure out. Yeah, I just saw you last week in wherever.
Right.
I mean, I even had somebody that was like, that came in from like Germany. That was like, wait, you were at Wacken? I was like, yes, I was. I saw you.
You'll get to have anywhere.
Right.
So funny.
That is cool.
That's cool that you played that though.
Oh man.
I mean, how exciting was that?
It was pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, we've done a few of those big European festivals like that, and there's nothing like looking out. It's like we did this Grass Pop Festival in Belgium, and that was 150,000 people total.
Wow.
There, you know, and it's like when you look out in the audience, and it looks like you're looking at the ocean, but it's not the ocean. It's just humans as far as you can see, and there's no end to it. It's crazy, but it's weird too because it's so many people and they're so far away from you.
Yeah.
That it's very impersonal. That's so it's a different vibe. As far as it's almost as though the band plays for each other in those scenarios, and in a way, especially Vixen, that makes for a better show because everybody's kind of like showing out and there's cameras and all this stuff, so you know you're being televised. Because also the other thing is all those shows are televised throughout the country, so people who can't attend it can watch it at home, and so there's all these different like legit real nice TV cameras that are flying all over the place and camera crew everywhere and stuff. And eventually, also they release that footage in some way, whether it's through the Bakken website or whatever festival it is. So it's a pretty extraordinary experience to be a part of, for sure.
Who else said the exact same thing about the crowd being far away, such a vast number that some people kind of feel like you lose the intimacy that you would have at a smaller venue, and you don't have
Even arena shows are like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To a certain extent. We played I played Mohegan Sun Arena 2 weeks in a row. One with Vixen and the next week with Brett.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same kind of thing where it's like everybody, like the audience is really far away, and so you're just kind of lost in the zone of the lighting and the production of the show and stuff like that, and you're kind of playing off of the other band members, and you're trying to put on legitimately a show to the person way up in the nosebleed section, so you're a little more animated than you would be maybe if you're playing a club or something like that. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it is different for sure.
Do you feel the energy changes from your own personal performance, or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. In some ways, it makes you amp up and play harder. In other ways, it's the surreality of it is just like,
Right.
Especially those Europe festivals. It's just like, and I had to, like when we played Belgium, I had to run. It's like running across the entire football field to deliver the merch to the merch stand, and then run all the way back. And I have 15 minutes to program and set up and sound check a keyboard that I'm not very familiar with. That I had to look at had to grab Wi-Fi and look at instructions on how to program it really quick, and to get the sounds, because it wasn't the exact keyboard that I'm used to using, and I can't just use a memory stick and plug and play the sounds like I normally do. So it's just like stress, and then they're like curtains up. I'm like, well, shit, I guess we're going.
Yep.
Here we go.
Right.
And then by the time you kind of started getting in the zone, you're only playing 45 minutes, so you're done. You're
Right.
like, okay, well, I guess we're done now.
Well, you wear a couple hats with Vixen.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I play keys for them, obviously, and then I do some of the tour managing duties. I'm just making sure on the boots on the ground, so to speak. So making sure that the rides are in the right place and that the girls know where to go when it comes to like ground transportation and hotels, and that we have everything we need on stage before we start the show. Those kinds of things. And then we've got other management team that takes care of advancing, like, and booking the flights and booking the rooms and doing all those kinds of things. And then my whole thing is like, I'm the day of the show guy. I settle out with the venue at the end of the night. I do the merch, make sure all that stuff's paid, everybody's paid. And so I do all that stuff.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
So kind of to reiterate why he had to run across a football field,
Right.
to make sure the merch, typically, yeah. So he's got the other hat on at that point. You need to get him a Segway.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
They got stuck in the mud, though. Those places get pretty. I mean, it's just like it gets messy in those festivals like that.
Yeah, dude. When it rains, it rains.
Well, you know what they say.
When
it rains, it pours.
Well,
it's like that Woodstock festival where everybody's throwing mud and stuff.
Yes.
It was very much like that at Bakken.
1990.
No.
Was it 90?
No. 94.
Was it 94? Mm-hmm. Our good friend from Gridley Page, they played that show.
I was there.
Yeah, well.
Nice.
You're probably walling around in what you thought was
mud.
mud.
That was a good one.
That was the first time I ever saw Jackal.
9 Inch Nails and, right.
That was like the first time I ever saw Jackal.
Get your chainsaw out.
Their guitar player, I was on the radio in Kansas City this morning. I listen to Kansas City radio morning show every morning when I take my kids to school. And I guess he's got a new record coming out. It's like a solo project, and he was playing like snippets of it, and it's really good. So
really?
I actually want to check it out. I was like, oh, man, this sounds...
I think Jeff Worley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's called something else. It's not just called Jeff Worley. I don't remember the actual band name or whatever, because it's like a band.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to checking it out, because that's
absolutely, because Jesse just released a solo album, I think, very recently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right on.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
Right, yeah.
No, you can't.
Yeah, Jesse's a trip, man.
Yeah.
I mean, his business mind is completely brilliant. The fact that he could keep a band like Jackal relevant in 2024 is incredible. That is definitely not one of those bands from that time period that I thought was going to stand the test of time that it has. It's only because of Jesse's business smarts
and his antics.
Yeah.
Well, but
I actually hung out with their bass player Roman at a strip club.
Yeah, Roman's the best. He's so much fun. I've known those guys forever.
He was in one of my favorite bands, Brother Kane.
Absolutely, yeah. I was kind of, I mean, as much as I love all the guys that are in it, and I do, I was kind of a little bit bummed that he didn't come back for the Brother Kane reunion stuff. But
yeah,
I did
me too.
Go see that, and it was great. So, it's cool to have Tony Higbee in that mix and Buck Johnson and stuff. And I love Damon.
Damon's a great guy.
He's so great.
Now he's playing with Skynyrd, so
yeah.
Yeah,
he's played with I think he said three of his all-time favorite, or two of the three of his all-time favorite bands.
Yep.
Which is Skynyrd and
Alice Cooper. Yeah, Thin Lizzy. He also played with Alice Cooper too.
Well, who did we talk to?
The third favorite band was I think it was Aerosmith. And I was like, well, you're probably not getting that gig.
Yeah, right.
Although Aerosmith's going to be coming back out on tour here in the next.
I hope they do, man, because they owe me.
October.
They do. I flew my ass all the way to Vegas 2 years ago in December to go see him, and as soon as I landed, Buck Johnson texted me, goes, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, no.
And they canceled. That's when they canceled that first run.
Yeah.
And so he's like, all right, well, we'll take care of you, on the next run. Well, then they canceled again. So I was like, shit, man. I'm never going to get, because I've never seen Aerosmith, oddly enough.
Oh,
really?
Of that time period, I've never seen. I'm like, I got to see these guys before somebody starts falling off the face of the earth, because they're kind of, kind of getting up there.
Yeah.
I saw them when Guns N' Roses opened for them.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I saw them back in 1988.
88.
Yeah, 1988. That was
that Permanent Vacation, or is that?
Was that? No, 90 was like Love in an Elevator.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
So I saw him 88. Then I saw him in 90. 90, I had front row. I was
88 might have been done with Mirrors.
Oh wow! Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I think.
See, I have my own Eddie trunk.
Yeah, because I remember
Freddie
I
Dunk.
did this thing where I played all of Desmond Child's hits for Desmond. He was sitting like 5 feet in front of me. It was a little bit intimidating. And one of those songs was Angel and or two of them. We did Angel and Dude Looks Like a Lady.
Oh, okay.
And that was pretty fun.
Nobody can sing it like the man, though.
No.
God.
Oh no.
No.
Dude.
And I was the one having to sing those songs. I was like, okay, well.
Let's see.
What if we dropped it out? Let's drop it a half step and call it a ballad.
Yeah, right. It was it was acoustic, so we had to find and it was also, I had to find a way to simplify it to the simplest possible way of playing it, because it was one of those rock and roll fantasy camp type things. It was a songwriters camp. So some of these people could barely play, to be honest. Like,
right.
They know their basic chords. So I had to break everything down to the most basic, strummy campfire ways of playing these songs.
Sure.
And we put together a 13-song medley of Desmond's hits to play for him.
Oh my God.
And break it down to this, verse, chorus, next song, verse, chorus, next song. And so songs like Dude Looks Like a Lady, you're just strumming through it. And I did have to bring that down like a whole step so I could sing it.
Right.
Right.
Damn high.
Right. I mean, I can't think of the only song we did by Aerosmith was what the hell was it?
I'll wait.
No, I forget. Just don't be a dick.
I'll wait.
It's the wrong band, dude. Wrong band.
Sweet Emotion.
Oh, Sweet Emotion. Yes. And that was like the easiest of all.
Yeah,
and that's a pretty typical. You'll see a lot of bands play that one.
Yeah, that was it. And we were only down a half step on that one.
Yeah.
Just because by the end of the night, my throat was like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
But when we did Motley Crue, it was an entire...
Up a half step.
No, it wasn't.
I thought we were.
No. Down a hole.
It wasn't down a hole?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, live wire.
Well, that's how they...
That's how they do it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how Mick does it anyway. So,
so shut up. Make me feel bad.
Well...
So give us, you knew this question was coming.
Yeah.
So you've played all these places. You play with some of the greatest people out there. You've written your own stuff. You're doing dual and piano. There's got to be a couple times it stuck out that shit just went bonkers, and you're like, wow.
I lost a gig because of that. I moved to Nashville in 2015. In July of 2015, in September, I was playing country music the first time in my life, playing with a guy named Tracy Lawrence. And when Tracy was playing, stadiums and stuff in the 90s. He was really big back in the day. But during the 90s, I was listening to Tool and Alice in Chains and 311 and stuff like that. I wasn't listening to country at all, so I wasn't familiar with it. I had about a week and a half to learn 36 songs of his, and there's one song, there's two of his ballads really, really similar, and one of them I completely blanked on in the beginning, and I just couldn't remember how it went. It was like the equivalent of Slash forgetting how to start Sweet Child of Mine, because I start the song on piano.
Right.
I couldn't remember how it goes, and I'm looking at my music and my music stand, and I kind of had a rough day that day personally too, so I just froze up, and everybody's looking at me like, "Are you going to start the song?" I was like, "I don't know what the song is. I don't know what I'm doing right now." And the guitar player kind of caught on finally that I was like, "Just do something, start something, do something," because I'm just kind of playing this F chord, and I can't think of where it's going to go. And so by the time he figures out that I don't know what I'm doing, he starts it, and I start it. We both started in different places, and it just completely train wrecks the intro of the song. So it was a really bad deal. And so the next day, which is a Saturday, I had played the best show that I'd played. I wasn't going to have two nights of that, But by Sunday, when we rolled back to Nashville, and they called me aside, I was like, well, here it goes. And that was the end of that, and my country career was over right away. And that was pretty humbling, being the new guy in town and getting a big gig like that and losing it that fast.
Yeah.
And so I remember going to a jam session thing that we did every month back then, and being really worried about how my peers were going to perceive me because, like I said, I was the new guy, and everybody was going to, "Hey, how's the gig going?" Well, I already lost the gig. And
not real good.
Sure enough, the first people that I ran into when I walked in to the room was Taylor Swift's drummer and a guy who played for whatever, the honky tonk badunk guy. And they were both asking me about, how's the gig? And I was like, well, I don't have the gig. I already lost it. I kind of had a bad moment. And yeah, it was pretty embarrassing. And then, but one thing that Matt, Taylor's drummer, said, stop and look around the room right now. It's like every one of these people, back then the jam was only exclusive basically to people who played for an artist, a big artist.
Mm-hmm.
So every one of these people have been fired from a gig in this town. Every one of them, including me. I got fired from Lady A, and now I'm playing with the biggest artists in the world. So sometimes that just happens. So everybody was really supportive and kind of made me feel, still felt welcome there,
Mm-hmm.
And so it was, that was pretty scary and weird. But lesson learned, better preparation before the gig.
Right.
Before you just jump out there. I mean, because that was a weekend warrior band. So we would go out every weekend on a Thursday, and then we'd come home Sunday.
Right.
Well, during that time between Sunday and Thursday, I should have been working on that material more, basically what it comes down to. And now I do, so... but like Vixen is way more of my wheelhouse and stuff that I grew up on. I had both of their big records when I was growing up, and so I was already kind of familiar with them anyway. So I don't really have to like when I got the gig with Bret Michaels, I'm probably gonna put myself shouldn't say this on a microphone, but I didn't practice at all because I knew every one of those. I've known all those songs since they came out. Like,
right, yeah.
Like I could play them in my sleep, so I just needed to know how they did it. So I watched a live video of them performing. Fortunately, the entire concert was on YouTube, so I just watched the whole thing, made a few notes on how they started and stopped some stuff, and that was it. I mean, I didn't even honestly play through anything.
Right.
I mean, I might have, because like even like Something to Believe In, the way that Brett plays it live, it's very different than the way Poison plays it live. He starts it on guitar, so I don't have to learn that piano intro, even though I know it already. So I just had to play like the strings and the stuff like that are on the song. So it just was kind of that's easy, you know. Playing with Faster Pussycats the same way. Like I know all those songs from the first 3 records. Don't need to practice at all.
That's cool.
Tyson, would you do country again?
Oh yeah, it just depends on the artist.
Okay.
And the money too.
Well,
but,
yeah.
There's a lot of country artists I love. I don't really like a lot of the. Well, I don't like the like bro country kind of stuff that's kind of was big in the last, I don't know, 8-10 years. So I'd have to have a lot of money to play a gig like that, because I think honestly, it would be out of I want to take something that I'm going to eventually get bored with.
Yeah.
Even though you're playing for a big artist and you're playing arenas or maybe stadiums and things like that, what people don't realize is every job, even our job, can get monotonous and boring. Same venue, same places, same backstage, every catering, whatever it is. It can be like, okay, here we go, doing this gig again. And so I want to be in something that is satisfying to the soul, that I'm excited to do every night. And a gig like that, I just wouldn't. It'd be really cool to have the experience of, but I mean, at the same time, like, I get those experiences with Vixen sometimes. You know, we played Mohegan Sun Arena. I played the Wacken Festival. I get those kind of experiences. So it kind of scratches that itch, so to speak, as opposed to having to experience it every night and let it become something mundane.
Sure. Do you think playing with somebody, maybe a country thing, like maybe Hardy, or some of the new country that's got some real fucking, got some balls to it even? No?
Not really. The stuff I would want to do is way more like, now that I've been here in Nashville longer and kind of gotten more well-versed in like the classic artists and stuff like that, Garth Brooks kind of country would be super fun. But I also auditioned for Luke Combs.
Okay.
I really dig his stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't get it, but I mean, by the time they got my stuff, they already had their guy picked out. It's kind of like the Steel Panther thing.
Right.
But like, I love like the Mavericks, and I love Dwight Yoakam.
Yep.
I couldn't play like those guys. Those guys are so good. Like I wouldn't even try, because I'm like, nope, I'm not going to put myself through that shit again.
Right.
But there are definitely some of those 90s guys, Clint Black, and some of those guys that I really dig a lot.
Right.
So it would just totally depend on the artist.
Do you find that the reason you're still in Nashville, even though, like, when you got down there, the 80s rock stuff hadn't been real prevalent in Nashville? It was starting to come around.
It was starting to come, yeah. But I mean, I think I definitely I put my own stamp on things here for that, right? With the Rare Hair shows,
right,
and with getting to know the people from that time period. The very first gig that we did had Paul Taylor and Eric Brittingham and Anthony Corder from Tora Tora.
Yes,
and that was a big deal for me, because I love Winger still, love Winger, Cinderella, and Tora Tora. I love all those guys. And so to have them come and play my show was a gigantic deal. At this point now, we're getting ready to do our 19th show in a couple of weeks, and the list of people that have played my show I look at it and just go, how the hell did I manage to pull this off and have these people voluntarily come play my show? Like, it's I don't know, it's pretty awesome, and I'm really grateful that these people have trusted me enough to put their name behind, coming out and playing a song or two at my shows.
I think it speaks volumes to who you are, Tyson. I think you just mentioned a humbling moment when someone said, looking around this room, we've all played with some of the bigger, and we've all lost a job.
Yeah. Right.
And I think Nashville is known for that family brotherhood kind of, Goose.
Yeah, there are scenes and there are cliques and stuff like that, like there's in any other town. But at the end of the day, like, we are supportive of each other for sure.
I think we've seen that through some of the people that have been on the show. I mean, obviously Billy Sheehan, who's been on the show, loves the whole, just everything about Nashville. And mentioning some of the folks that are starting to even still coming, migrating into Nashville. But some of the folks that we know, Mick Fury, Goose LaPlante. Goose is another drummer that played with, was it John Fogerty?
Yes.
Yeah, so he played with John Fogerty for years. I mean, just another
I love
fun.
Goose. He's a great dude.
Oh, so you know Goose. Oh, beautiful.
Goose. Awesome.
So Goose is from Syracuse, and we've known him for a while, and we had the luxury, Jeff and I, we played with Goose.
When did he play with Fogerty?
He told us, and it was a while ago.
He toured with him for.
He did.
For what, 2 years?
I think so, 2 or 3 years.
I have a friend that played with Fogerty too, but I wonder if they played at the same time because Arnoff was playing with Fogerty at the time. I think when David was playing.
Oh, Kenny Arnoff.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine that lives down, Jason Teska, who lives down there as well, and he's been in Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah,
since he left
I know
here.
him.
And then who? Oh, Max McGee.
Oh,
my
Max
God.
McGee.
Max McGee. Max McGee was playing with Goose and McFury, and then now Max just started a company where he's doing jingles and stuff, and he's freaking crushing it,
Sure.
So we've seen a lot of people from our area here that have gone down and done great things. And as I was mentioning, we had the luxury of playing with Goose with Jeff
Morrow.
and I played with Goose and Ben Morrow. And Ben's just another super guy. Been on the show and always puffing up the show. He's posted that video 1,000 times, and I hope he posted 1,000 more of us playing with him.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Do it.
Yeah. I mean, so, we love to see the full circle of folks from this area and whatnot, reaching out and knowing guys like yourself. So I can't say it enough. I mean, I know we've been waiting for this day for you to be on. And
thanks.
Yeah,
Sorry
super
it's taken
excited.
a long time.
Well,
to make it happen.
Dude, I mean, the fact that you are as busy as you are, this is an hour that you could be gigging somewhere, and we appreciate
absolutely
that you're giving us that time.
I got a gig tonight. Don't worry.
All right. Well, there you go. There you go.
All right, then.
So for those of you who don't know, look up Tyson. Go on to his page. Give him a virtual tip for listening to being on the show tonight.
Absolutely.
We'll list the Venmo. Yeah, virtual tip jar.
Yep.
We need to get one of those.
Okay.
Put it virtually right here.
Virtually right there.
Yeah. Well, right here is the Ultimate Ears logo.
Right, so I'll put this in the
virtual
middle.
tip jar Venmo.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Scan it.
There you go.
We'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what I did on my show, and it obviously did me well.
So there you go. Tyson, we thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Much
Sorry we went over a little bit, but I told you it was going to go quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
would love to, when you have more things come out with your own album and whatnot, please.
Okay.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
We want to promote the hell out of it.
Yep.
Cool.
And
I will.
anytime you're in the area,
look us
I
up.
don't know what you have coming with any of your projects, but anything in the upstate, Central New York area.
We used to play up there at the Snoqualmie quite a bit, but we have, or no, is that right?
Where?
No.
That's in Washington. Yours is, what is the one?
Are you Del Lago or
Turning
Stone?
Turning Stone, yeah. We used to play up there with Skid Row all the time, but, man, we haven't done that in a long time. And there's somewhere else we played up there with, because I remember, I think I told you, Mike, that I met with Joey Belladonna up there just for lunch and stuff.
State Fair.
Yeah. That's
State Fair.
They might have been that. We played that a few times.
Yep.
Yeah.
How often do you talk to Joey?
2 years in a row. It's been a while. I don't know. We just randomly chat with each other, usually a few times a year or so. Just
thought maybe he was
depending on what's happening.
Thought he was bringing you into his Journey cover project.
I mean, that whole thing is all Nashville guys. Those guys are all. They play for a guy named Lee Greenwood, who, if those that don't know, he did the "Proud to Be an American" song.
Yep.
So they are his backing band, and that all came about through the Shiprock cruise. Doug, the keyboard player, and I both played with Joey. Doug was kind of the resident keyboard player for a show called The Stowaways on Shiprock. Well, things didn't go well for Doug and between Doug and the guy organizing all that stuff. So oddly enough, Doug ended up getting let go, and they brought me in, which was a strange turn of events in itself. Yeah. But Doug and Joey hit it off really well, and Joey wanted to do this Journey thing. It's his favorite band. He met his wife at a Journey show and all this stuff.
Yep.
Well, I ended up playing with, just talking to Joey and saying, hey, on this Journey thing on the ship, like, Doug's playing all the piano stuff. Let me jump in there and join you guys, and I'll play all the auxiliary kind of strings, organ, all of the extra things, the solos and stuff like that. So you guys can kind of play it. It'll fill everything out. And so we did, and that's all up on YouTube, and that was really fun. And as a result, Doug and Joey kept the conversation going about this tribute band, and Doug was pretty meticulous about programming and getting all the sounds right for the Journey thing. He did a great job doing all that stuff. And I don't think they really just had the budget for 2 keyboard guys. And also I was busy as shit, as you know. And so I didn't ever want to be in a position where I had to say no to anything. And I don't even know that I was necessarily even considered to be part of that to begin with. But long story short, the Shiprock meeting between Doug and Joey, that's kind of how that whole tribute band came about. And
cool.
It's really cool. It's been really fun to watch that become a real thing, because I saw it in talks for so long. So it's like.
Have you seen Joey play drums?
Oh yeah,
dude.
Yeah, he's a great drummer.
Great drummer.
Yep.
And Joey had a 3-piece cover thing that he used to do between the Anthrax stuff.
Yeah, the Big Chief thing.
Yeah, Chief Bigway.
Right, Chief Bigway. Yep. And I owned a bar years ago, and Joey would play the bar.
That's awesome.
And the funny story that I tell is Joey calls me from the tour bus in Germany.
They're on the Big Four tour.
The Big Four tour. Now, they're all sitting around in between something. Yeah. So the Big Four, there's all the guys from the band are just packed in the tour bus, busting Joey's balls. Yeah. And Joey calls me, puts me on speakerphone to kind of prove to them that, no, I still play these gigs. And he's like, hey, Papa, we're still on for next week when I get home, right? And I says, yeah. Where are you? And he goes, I'm in Germany. I'm on the bus. And all the guys are around me. And they're going, Papa, how much is Joey charging for the gig? And I was like, can I say it? Joey goes, tell him. And I go, really? He goes, tell him. I go, 300. And the guys go, 1,000? I go, no, 300.
Yep, just 300.
So they start busting his ball. They start busting my ball. Hey, Papa, what do you think you could pay us if we came out? He said, well, my fire capacity is like 126 people. So I'm a small, little tiny bar in the middle of nowhere. But Joey would play that gig and pay his guys, and he wouldn't take shit for himself. He was just like, I just wanted to play. He's the nicest freaking guy, and I've known Joey, for 25 some odd years.
Easily, yeah.
And back when Joey was old Joey, and he would have a cocktail or two, I think I spent more money on him giving him juice when he played the bar than the beers I used to buy him years and years before, you know. But he's always been just such a great guy, and it's a pleasure to say he's from our hometown.
Yeah,
you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would have been
There's
cool.
a bunch of guys here in town that are from Syracuse area that they all actually Al from Shiprocked. He was one of those guys, and then I think you and I dropped some of those names, but you didn't know any of them because they're all younger people.
Mm-hmm.
But they all kind of hang together, play together, write together.
Yeah,
they do productions together, like in terms of producing records for other people and all kinds of stuff. Good,
I think Goose was saying something about they all get together like the 315 guys.
Yeah,
I mean because they're all.
What's the area code in Nashville?
615.
And who was telling us he had the three? Oh, Rick Kua.
Rick Kua.
So Rick Kua, I mean, legendary bass player, legendary, worked in the Christian contemporary world for years.
Used to play with the Outlaws.
Played with the Outlaws for years, and then now he's down. And they do. That's who gets it. They have a 315, 615 picnic every year.
Cool. That's cool.
And they get food shipped down to them.
They made baseball hats with the 315, 615 logo on it.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So it's really cool.
Yeah, and they get together. They have some of the local foods shipped down to him. In fact, we're sending Rick some Italian bread that he loves from a bakery up here.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it yet, but we're sending him that in the T-shirt and a bunch of shit. So yeah. So there you go.
Cool.
But brother, again, thank
Tyson,
you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks to you guys.
And we hope to stay in touch. And if I see something that sparks my eye, you'll be getting texts from me.
Yeah.
You know, probably.
Okay,
if it's just be like, dude, stop bothering me. We're not. Yeah.
Nah.
We're not brothers.
We're not brothers.
We're not brothers.
And we're not friends.
That's right. Yeah.
You're such a dick.
I know it.
Stick around. We're gonna roll out of this, but don't go anywhere. And let's just roll these credits and do what we do here.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. He's gone.
Oh, you could have left his camera on. But anyways,
I know it.
You've been listening to The Good,
The Band,
The Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm Jeff.
Wow, what a great show. We want to thank Sharky's Event Center, DJ Life's a Beach,
Good Nature Brewery, Uncle Jimmy's Live Local Music,
Print Shop Underground, Snarky Productions,
and Toffee Break Toffee.
Don't forget Ultimate Ears.
Yep.
Ultimate Ears. You can hear your own tears
with
Ultimate Ears. And thanks to listener Joe Della Favro. And if you heard your name, maybe I just woke you up.
Right.
Thanks again for Tyson for being on the show. And what we always say to each other and to you,
be kind to each other.
Don't be a dick. Peace. Counting it out to 15 seconds.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. I like the way you do that. Because you know why? Recording stops.
Are you good? Are we going to sign off?
Yeah, we're hitting stop right now.
Yep, watch.